No. Rhodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at? It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Like scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month. I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy cards and get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up,
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the home of Rhodri Giggs on football. We are here to talk all things football, and it's been a busy week. There's lots to discuss. We got the playoff finals this weekend, the last day of the Premier League, the relegation battle, top fours settled, champions crowned. Plenty to discuss. And I just realised Will hasn't sent me the Super 6 update, so we haven't got any update on that. All I can tell you is I'm still ahead of Rhodri. And I scored more points than him that last week. So, what more do we need, really? But if Will sends it to me during the show, I'll come back to it. But as always, please do check out the Sports Social as well. All the audio versions of these shows go onto the Sports Social Podcast Network. We thank them for their support, as always. And if you prefer to listen to your podcasts, that's where to get them. And yes. But as always, I'm joined by the man himself, the Wanderer. He's been around many a club, including in Salford City, FC United, Aberystwyth Town, Bangor. Where else, mate? Rhodri Giggs, welcome, my friend.
Monsterway. Who else? Kids Grove. Man, you was only there a few months, Kids Grove. So I won't count that one. Yeah, mate.
Been around the block, mate. Yeah, it's good, mate. It's good. It's been a seems like loads has happened this week in the world of football. It's crazy, man. Crazy. So let's start at the top of the league and work our way down. Man City, crowned champions. Arsenal kind of fell apart a bit towards the end, I think.
Pressure got too much, didn't it?
Yeah, and I know there's been this big discussion about whether they bottled it or not, and we've talked about it a couple of times. I think they did, but I also don't blame them. It's a young squad and stuff, and they just didn't have the depth and the experience to get through it. Man City are just a machine when they get going. But I got to say, I did call Nottingham Forest beating them on the weekend, so well done me. But congratulations to Nottingham Forest as well.
Wait, rewind. You didn't have them on your Soccer 6.
I didn't have them on my Soccer 6, but I said in the show that I fancied Forest.
So rewind, that's a false statement.
I said it on video, didn't I?
You either pick one or the other. You can't say one and then do the other. No.
Yeah, well. But, Forest, mate, I think they started off slow, didn't they, in this year? They had so many new players and stuff like that, but they kind of gradually got it together. He's done a very, very good job. Good manager.
Yeah, done a very, very good job.
And on the subject of managers, mate, I think you can look at De Zerbi at Brighton, done an awesome job. I think Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job. I think Ten Hag's done a fantastic job. Silver at Fulham, I think, has done a great job.
What about Lampard? Has he done a good job?
I can get into him, mate. Brentford, Frank's done a great job. I think David Moyes has done a good job to get to the Europa League final at the expense of the Premier League without really being in the relegation battle. There was a little period where they were like, oh, maybe they get dragged into it. But
yeah, you've missed the manager out. But
go on, who's next? Who have I missed? Go on.
I'm thinking you missed out of all the names. Come in and change the club round. It's just one, and now in the top half, and the 7th, 6th.
Oh, Villa, of course. Emery.
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a few managers who've done a tremendous job. Let's talk about the managers down the bottom. I think the Leicester situation, I think it was a difficult situation to come into because they were already in deep trouble. But I don't think he's come in and made too much of it. Oh, Gary O'Neill, by the way.
I think somewhere these owners, I think,
job.
they make a change just because they think a new manager will suddenly something will
just give them a little
boost
boost,
like games. It doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think, they kind of want that boost. And look, Brendan Rodgers, I think overall...
Well, we've seen the 3 teams, haven't we? Leicester, Leeds.
Even Sean Dyche hasn't really been able to turn it around.
That's 4 then, because I had thinking of another one. Chelsea, Frank Lampard.
Yeah. Oh, mate, Chelsea. Talk about them in a sec. Just before we talk about Chelsea, I want to say I think Everton are going to go down, mate. But we'll talk about that a bit later. Gary O'Neill's done a tremendous job at Bournemouth, mate, because at one point
they looked that is it.
Done. They looked done at one point. They looked like they were just sliding down the league, and he has just got them playing well. And I thought even against United on the weekend, they do look like they haven't got like a striker who's going to get the goals to really push them on at the moment. But as the general football they play, the way they defend, he's got them set up nice. Frank Lampard, mate, has he had, taken into account both his spell at Everton and his spell at Chelsea, has he had the worst ever season as a Premier League manager for a Premier League manager? Because if he was at Chelsea any longer, they would have been in a relegation battle. And when you look at...
Yeah, I had to put it on mute because I'm getting that static again. Remember, we get that static again, but it's gone now. So, I don't know. There've been some bad ones, haven't there? Some like 12 or 14 points in the season. No?
So the way it works out is the lowest point total ever is Derby, who had 11 throughout the whole season. Obviously went down back in quite a while ago. But if you was to kind of multiply Frank Lampard's time at Chelsea, so it covered the full season, even if you give them a couple of wins, I think they end up with like 16 points. And like that's just not good enough with that squad that they've got. And I get, it's not just down to him. There was other managers there previously. I think a lot of it's got to do with the ownership. But with that squad, they should be doing better. And for instance, last night against United, they just gave up. They just fell apart, bar maybe 2 players, which was I've forgotten his name, Felix, who scored, and one of the lads, Enzo Fernandez. I'd say they're the only 2 who didn't just completely just bin it off. It was shocking for a top Premier League side, supposedly, to just completely switch off and effectively give up. I thought was unbelievable, especially because in the first half, Chelsea could have had a couple of goals if they could finish. Do you agree with that, mate? Because I think tactically, I think Lampard's dreadful.
Yeah, it's not been good for him. It's not been good. And I don't know where he goes from here. We've seen managers drop down. We've seen Mark Hughes in League 2 with Bradford City. Is he going to have to start somewhere right at the bottom again? I don't know, because it's been dreadful. But it doesn't matter how many big money players you bring in. If you don't have someone at the end of the pitch scoring the goals, it's going to be a long, long, long afternoon for you. And they're just not scoring at the minute. They had some good chances. That Havertz.
Anthony.
You need to question these people who have brought these players into the club, because I know some of them are a young team, but why so many? It's just they're in a real situation down there at Chelsea at the minute, because even if Poch comes in, which is rumours is going to come in, they look bad yesterday. Bad.
They're going to have to have a fire sale, mate.
But But I know when your confidence is low, you've not got no one scoring at the back of the goals, and you're making schoolboy errors at the back. You've got no chance, especially at Old Trafford on a night match.
Yeah, it's bizarre, mate. And I think what I will never understand, and I mentioned this earlier in the season with Maguire, is there's certain players and managers who seem to get like almost like a free pass from the media, from the radio, from the Sky, from BT, the rest of it. Like Frank Lampard's record as a Premier League manager compared to Solskjaer's time at United, Solskjaer's time is like way better. Yeah, Solskjaer's the one who gets ridiculed, gets abuse on social media, gets made out like he was like this clown manager who's like one of the worst managers in history. Do me a favor, like if you look at his finishes and look what he did with United compared to what Lampard did at Chelsea the first time, what he did at Everton and what he did at Chelsea, Lampard's dreadful, mate. And how any Premier League club could look at what he's done this season and think he's my guy, but he'll get a job, mate. Guarantee he'll get a job. Someone will take him on.
So I have to stop you there. Compare it with Mikel Arteta, and Ollie's season when he comes second is better in every way. Stats, points. They haven't really won a trophy. Ollie's season when he comes second is better than Arsenal's Mikel Arteta this year. I've seen that like this week somewhere, and I looked at the stats, and every single one, I think I won.
And the interesting thing is with that is the reason that Solskjaer didn't kick on, because after that season they signed very little after he finished second. Same as when Mourinho finished second behind City. City signed Riyad Mahrez and United signed Lee Grant, Fred, and Dalot. You'd like that's not close. Those three players, with all due respect, are never going to close the gap on. I think it was 18 points or 19 points they finished behind City. And what Arsenal have got to do now is they've got to back Arteta. So if Arteta wants Declan Rice for 100 million, they've got to give him that money. If he thinks that Declan Rice is the guy that's going to help them have another title challenge and maybe get a trophy next year, they've got to give him. They've got to go and get him. If whoever Casado or whoever else they've been linked with, they've got to back Arteta, because if they don't, Arsenal will finish 5th or 6th next year. Because if they just keep it the same, United will get better. Chelsea should get better. Like, I want to go back to Chelsea a minute, but Liverpool should be better. City will keep doing what they're doing. Newcastle could they're in the Champions League now, so they can effectively try to sign anyone they want. They got the money. Whether they would get those big players is another discussion. But like all these clubs are going to get better. Then you've got Brighton, who are on the brink of that. They've got like this decision to make. Are they happy with what they are? Or do they want to spend a bit of money and try and kick on and get a Champions League spot? Like Arsenal, Spurs, like they have to back Arteta now. If they don't back him this summer, or they kind of half-ass it and they give him Rice, but then they won't give him any more, I think there's no guarantee they get top 4 next year, which I know sounds incredible when you think they're the closest things to City at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, if it keeps on, I'm going to have to change my phone because this static's doing that. It's that crap again. But they're talking about Casemiro. Well, you talking, it crackles like mad.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have to get like Casemiro and Rice. Or Rice and someone else. You can't just buy one player. It has to be 2 or 3 now. Because if they get strong, they've got the experience now. They've been in that position before. So I'm sure if they got in that position again, they'll handle it better. But City are going to get better. United certainly going to get better. Chelsea are definitely going to get better. Liverpool will definitely get better. And I think I'm not worried about Tottenham. And then
got turned down by another manager, didn't they?
What?
Spurs got turned down by another manager. Like, it's getting almost embarrassing at this point. Pochettino turned him down. I've forgotten his name, Arnie something, from I think the German league. just saying, when you were speaking then, you were super robotic. So I don't know whether you want to switch over. Yeah. Right. While Rodders switches over, if anyone's got any questions in the chat, get them in now. I'm happy to answer them. Gaz, I know you sent a question over for earlier. I will give Rhodri that now in a minute when he comes back. As soon as he's got a decent connection, I'll get him back. Next week, we're going to have an FA Cup final tactical preview drop in. We're going to have a few bits and pieces. Got a few new show on Saturday drop in with Terry Phillips, My Story, which is a good one for football fans. Lots of good stories about Brian Clough, Marky Mackay, Dave Jones, all these different guys. But yeah, kind of going back to what you were saying, mate, about Arsenal. I think they need a striker as well, because Jesus, as good as he is, I do think he tends to get an injury a season where he's out for a few months.
Yes, but give that Eddie
Nketiah.
Yeah,
and,
give him credit
as well.
Yeah, give him credit. He did well when he come on. He scored some goals. He dried up, at the business end. But no, I think when you bring, then they've got what, 4 strikers. I don't think you can have that in this modern game unless they can do a job on the left or the right, which Jesus can do. He's done for City. So you need strength in depth, mate. You need strength, but you need strength. You don't need numbers now. You need quality numbers. That you change it and it doesn't weaken it, like City do. When they change it, it doesn't really weaken it. That's what United have got to strive to. That's what Newcastle have got to do now.
Well, ultimately, I think that's what's cost United and Arsenal, isn't it?
And Arsenal,
those changes.
100%. So I would keep an eye on McTominay and Rice getting swapped in a little bit of dough. You've got to use your assets. And
well, mate, funny, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've seen a few reports this week. West Ham linked with Maguire and McTominay, and then United are linked with Declan Rice. And I'm thinking, surely you're going to put one of them in a deal with him and bring the price down 40 million. Because I think United fans, if they can get rid of Maguire, say, for instance, and pay 65 million for Declan Rice, I think that's more it's more palatable than 100 million. Because 100 million, he's not a 100 million pound player to me. Like, if I'm getting a 100 million pound player, I want someone who is like...
Yeah, but Enzo Fernandez is not a 100 million pound player. Anthony's not a 90 million.
No, I do get that. But if I'm paying 100 million, I'm looking at like your Mbappes, your Kanes, your Ostermans, people who will get you off your seat in excitement. Now, the other aspect of it is Declan Rice, mate, right, has been phenomenal for England and for West Ham. Okay, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's a very good midfielder. I think he's got potential to be a holding midfielder, but I think he could also be like a box-to-box midfielder and kind of play a bit more attacking than he does at West Ham. But playing at West Ham, who play quite defensive under David Moyes, not park the bus, but they play quite a low block and he sits quite deep. That's a very different job to what he would be asked to do if he went and played for Arsenal or United, where they play a much higher line. He's going to be asked to go press. So here's a stat for you. Lewis Dunk, who's a central defender, has got higher pressing stats than Declan Rice, who's a holding midfielder who's supposed to break up play and intercept stuff. So, I mean, there's no guarantee, is what I'm saying, I guess, that Declan Rice can replicate his form at West Ham at a bigger club who play a bit more higher up the pitch and stuff. Now, he might. Of course he might. But if you're going to pay 100 million, you kind of want a guarantee.
But then he might become more of a goal-scoring midfielder. You never know.
He might, don't it? And it's 100 million gamble. So, to me...
But it's still a full England international midfielder, young at the right age. You're going to have him for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. So
he's not an 100 million pound player, no. But the price at the minute are the prices. Look, go in the supermarket, fucking go to a local shop, £7.50 for 16 Ferrero Rochers. It was £5 3 months ago.
But then, on the other side of it, though, mate, right? You've got say United have been linked with Rice and Mason Mount this week to sign both of them, which on paper, I think, that makes sense. Declan Rice can fill in for Casemiro. He could also play alongside him. Mason Mount is probably the equivalent of your Sabitzer, probably a bit better than McTominay and Fred. But then I'm thinking 100 million for Declan Rice, and they're talking like 65 million for Mason Mount with a year on his contract, and he's just had a shocking season. But if you go out to Europe, there's players who you can get for like 30 million, who I would argue certainly better than Mason Mount, and debatable whether they're as good as Declan Rice. So if you're United and you're not sure how much money you've got, and you've only got a bit, and you've got to sell to buy, why would you go and spend 165 million plus Kane as well? So say 260 million on 3 English players, two of which I grant you would be good signings, one debatable. When you could go and get, for that money, less than that, you could go and get proven European young talent that can do the same job, if not better. It's an obsession, isn't it?
It's always a risk though when you're buying outside the Premier League as well, isn't it? But you've got everything's a risk, mate. Everything's a risk. But they've got to get it right because they're behind City by a long way. So,
Gaz, who's in the chat, sent me a question earlier today, because me and him were kind of talking on DMs, because we were watching, loads of people were arguing. United fans and West Ham fans were arguing, because West Ham fans last night during the United game was saying the reason United want Declan Rice is because he's better than Casemiro. And a few West Ham fans were saying Declan Rice, there's not one attribute that Casemiro is better than Declan Rice at. And this guy piped up and said, the only thing Declan Rice is better than at Casemiro is he's taller. And then the next comment is they're both 6'1". But Gaz wanted your opinion on Casemiro versus Declan Rice as players. Not necessarily, like we all know what Casemiro's won. If Declan Rice had been in that Real Madrid side, would he have won 5 Champions Leagues as well?
Ooh, good question. Different players. You know, Casemiro's not really fast. Not really
reading
box
of the game is intelligent.
It's reading, his intelligence, his way to pass, his timing of his runnings. See these goals he's scored this season. So different players, but better. Difficult on that.
Casemiro, I thought, like the last 2 or 3 games for United, I think he's been exceptional. Last night, I just thought he made the Chelsea midfield look like kids. Like they were kind of like the young upstarts who were, might one day be good, but he was just like the king, and he was just in every single facet of the game, he was 2 steps ahead. And you can't coach that. Like, the unfortunate thing for if you're a United fan is that he's probably in the last part of his career. There's probably a couple of years and he's probably going to need to be replaced. But as a footballer,
5-year contract,
mate, when they signed Casemiro, everyone raised their eyebrow because
I don't see why what's going to be different in 2 years than now. He can't run, so and he's doing this where he can't really sprint. So it's all positional experience. So why 2 years? He can play like this for he's out of his contract.
He and I mean I think that's also why Ten Hag clearly wants like a Declan Rice or a.
But you put him next.
What's the one from Barca he wanted?
But you put him next to him.
Yeah, Frankie de Jong. That's why he wants them to play alongside Casemiro, to be the energy, to be the legs, but also not just being someone who can run around, because Fred can be the legs. He wants someone who can sit next to him, have the energy, be the legs, but as also can, pass through the lines and be that sort of linchpin at the back. And like, to me, Frankie de Jong is the best midfielder in the world at doing that job alongside what they want to play alongside Casemiro. But I also think Declan Rice would be a great choice to play that. And the one thing with the Declan Rice and Mason Mount thing is I didn't realise till this morning, Declan Rice, Luke Shaw and Mason Mount grew up together.
Yeah.
So for them, you imagine like your two best mates as a kid, if you got the chance to play at one of the biggest football clubs in the world together, like that's like, I don't think that should be kind of overlooked. I think that's what dreams are made of. I think for young kids, they're all young as well. How is Luke Shaw not in the Premier League team of the season, mate?
That's
unbelievable. Not one United player in that, by the way. Third best team in the league at the moment, as it stands. Yeah, Luke. I would say the ones that sort of stand out for not being in it would be Luke Shaw, Martinez, Casemiro, and Ronaldo. Rashford, sorry, not Ronaldo. Now, I'm not saying that they should all be in, but to not have any of those four in, I think, is puzzling. And it feels a bit like anti-United, just for the sake of it. But, you know. What did you make of the United performance last night versus Chelsea? Because I thought potentially it was a bit of a banana skin before, even though Chelsea have been dreadful. You just felt like Chelsea could be up for it.
They had chances, so if they take the chances, it could have been a
game.
different story. But like I said before, the confidence is shot and they've got no one to stick the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, for Fofana at the back looks like he needs a break mentally. Like he was giving the ball away. He gave.
Just realised that says winger. I play striker for Salford City. Didn't really play winger for them.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, go on.
Yeah,
I could play both though. Go on.
Yeah, of course you could. Versatile, mate. Versatile. I think Fofana, when he came in at Chelsea, he looked the real deal. Looked a good footballer. And like I'm looking at him now, and he just looks shot mentally. Like he made so many mistakes last night. He gave the ball away in his own box for the Rashford goal. And the problem which Chelsea have got is they've got like 30 players. So when Poch comes in, he's got to look at all those 30 players, and then he's got to shift out.
Going to go, aren't they?
But he's got to shift out, like say 10, to make room to bring his own players in.
He could go. Thiago Silva, he could go. Mason Mount's reported to be going. Loftus-Cheek, he's been around for nothing. He's not doing nothing. There's probably a couple others that they could get rid of. So there's, 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think
Havertz, get him out.
God, mate,
out.
He's dreadful. He is.
Out.
Yeah, they got to make some sense.
Raheem Sterling, dropped from the England squad.
Do you think he regrets moving from City to them?
No, it's a mentality. It's nothing to do with the team. It's him. He looks like not interested. Like he's got his money now. He's back home and he's just like, just chilling.
Early retirement.
Yep.
Just going to take his money and chill.
Running about like a mini little T-Rex.
Another one who impressed me last night was Jadon Sancho. Played the full 90. And I got to say, he looks much more comfortable on the right. But you started to see some of those silky skills. He was pressing. He was working hard. Every time he got the ball, he was a threat.
Same thing.
Confidence thing, isn't it?
Yep, same thing. More confidence, the better he'll get. Because at the minute, he's not going full pelt, taking risks. That's what you got to do. Yeah,
and I think that will be encouraging for you, Ten Hag, especially with Anthony looking...
Garnacho looking lively as well. So, obviously, Anthony getting injured, but, these things happen.
Yeah, it was a weird one, the Anthony thing. Do you know... So I saw West Ham fans and a few other Liverpool fans, I think it was, saying that Casemiro pass for the first goal, or the second goal, sorry, was not that good. It was just an outside of the foot, little dink. Me,
he wasn't even fucking looking at the ball, looking at the man, and he scooped it between two defenders at speed. Shut up.
Absolute quality. And Sancho was clever as well, because I think he could have shot and he just played it in for Martial. Yep. Overall, a very good performance. What do you think of the people who say that City winning the league, potentially winning the treble, is kind of hollow because they've got these 115 charges? Have to wait and see, is it?
Yeah, I have to wait and see. City are by far the best team in the league. You have to wait to see the specifics and the details, but other than that, can't comment. City were the best team. End of.
Absolutely. Tottenham getting turned down by everyone under the sun. Let's move down to the bottom of the league.
Which is pretty embarrassing because Tottenham, great,
Should be
one of the best grounds in the league.
Historic.
England captain. Training ground to die for. Turmoil.
Yeah,
But
it's not good, mate.
But they're not shopping in B&M for players, and now you get B&M results.
Well, I think Ryan Mason will end up getting it.
Yeah,
I don't think they can afford to keep getting turned by managers, so I think they'll give it to him on like a 2-year contract or something, like a short term.
Wouldn't be a bad thing.
Look
what Gary O'Neill's doing. So give these young managers a chance. What's the worst can you do? Worst can happen.
They've tried, Mourinho. They couldn't get Poch back, so the players that seem to play for him in terms of effort and commitment. So why not give him a go?
Yep.
Right, let's move down to the bottom of the league. Nottingham Forest are safe, as we mentioned earlier. Everton are not. Leicester are not. Leeds are not. Southampton obviously already down. Just before we kind of delve into it, off the top of your head, who do you think is going to be the three which go down?
Well, I said about a month ago it's going to be Southampton, Leeds and Everton. So, by the looks of it, it's probably going to be Leicester, not Everton. But, it's still open for three teams to get out of it. They just need to look after their results and keep the fingers crossed. But they've all got winnable games.
I think that I think Bournemouth will get at least a draw against Everton, which would put Everton on 34 points. And then I also think Leicester at home to West Ham is winnable, and it will depend. A lot of that will depend on if West Ham rest players for the Europa League final, which they could very well do. If they rest a load of players, then I think Leicester should be winning a game they've got to win. They should be winning.
You're saying that you've got players coming in that are playing for a cup final. So
I guess Leeds are at home to Tottenham. Yeah. I think they've got the hardest game, but it is winnable. Tottenham have been dreadful. Yeah. Only people are not saying how bad they've been, probably because Chelsea have been so bad. So, if Everton get a draw, that puts them on 34. If Leicester and Leeds win, that would put them on 34 also, which means that Leeds potentially would go down on goal difference and Everton would go down on goal difference, which is fascinating. I've got a feeling, I said this a couple of weeks back, I think Everton are down. Leicester, their form is awful. They look pretty shot mentally. Can they just get that one win? Because I think if they win tomorrow, I think they'll stay up. Because I don't think all three teams will win. So it's tricky to predict, mate, because I think on paper you look at it and you think, oh yeah.
There's always a little there's not always, but you never know. There might be a twist. There's 3 games in it. And one of them's not going to win, is there? Or they could all win.
They could all win. And that's Bournemouth, Tottenham, and West Ham. None of them got anything to play for. Is the thing as well.
Yeah, they could all win, and they could all lose.
They're all at home. In your opinion, out of the 3, Everton, Leeds, Leicester,
I think all 3 teams win.
Interesting.
The only one that I doubt it is Tottenham. If Tottenham turn up, but Leeds at home. That crowd, Tottenham not playing for anything, probably half on the beach already. Or we'll see if they've got respect for Ryan Mason, the performance to give in. Yeah, because this might be down. If they have a good result here, right? Okay, let's give them a job. If they have a very good performance and win 3-0, 3-1. You know what? Let's give it in.
Yeah.
If they get beat or they don't have a good result, they draw. Thanks, Ryan, but no thanks.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky to predict. In your opinion, though, Everton, Leicester, Leeds, right? So if Everton go down, how bad is he? I know it's bad they've gone down, but with the squad they've got
And the new ground being built.
and the new ground and everything which goes with the money they've spent as well,
Aye.
is it them, like they look the worst out of the three going down? Because I think most people would have thought Leeds would be in there.
No, Leicester just won the league about 6 years ago.
Jesus. But I'd argue if you look at the squad,
Right, when I was younger, when someone starts a sentence saying "but," they're talking shit. They won the league 6 or 7 years
yeah, I
ago.
take that. Yeah, you're right. So
Can't win the league and then get it's like Blackburn all them years ago. They won the league and then 3 or 4 years for whatever they get relegated. You know, it's
poor.
It's great for the club, obviously, because it'll never happen again. But yeah, Everton's a massive club as well. They've probably one of the only teams that never been relegated from the Premier League or from the first division for years. So yeah, it's not good. Leeds, you know, they've been up and bounced back a few times. Even though when they've got back recently, they've stayed up, had a good couple of years, but it'd be difficult for them to get back up. I think if Leeds get relegated, they're the ones that will struggle to get back.
Yeah, and I was looking
I think the other two will bounce back straight away.
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean,
players from Leicester will leave. Maddison, Tillemans. I think Vardy would possibly stay, but others would leave.
Mendy, Inacho, Harvey Barnes, James Maddison. They're not going to play championship.
No, but there's 200 million quid there. Now, Harvey Barnes and Maddison, there's 100 million quid, easy. You get Inacho and other bits. They
got that. Who's the boy who plays holding midfield for Leicester? Yeah, is it Ndidi? I'm not sure if it is.
Yes, they've got some sellable assets, but you know they need a manager who knows that league and get out of it. I'm sure Dean Smith knows it and can get out of it. So they've got a good man. They've got a good man. They've all got good men. If they go down, if they keep him. You know, Allardyce has been there, seen it, done it. Sean Dyche has been there and seen it, done it. So they've all got good managers to get them bouncing back up. It's would they keep Sam Allardyce? I don't think they would.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. What about Everton? Who do you think stays, goes if they were to go down? Jordan Pickford, I would imagine, would go straight away.
Jordan Pickford could probably come on the radar of some teams, like Manchester United.
God, would you be happy with him as a second replacement or a competition, whatever you want to say?
No, not for me. Who else?
Dwight McNeil, James Tarkowski.
Dwight Neal, Tarkowski would probably stay. He's just been there. He's been in the league.
Who's that midfield? Onana, is it in midfield?
Onana, Gray.
Damari Gray's a good signing for someone, I think.
Yeah, so they've got assets as well.
I think actually it's probably Leeds who've got the least amount of sellable assets when you look at it in terms of like big money.
Yeah,
I was trying to think who in the Leeds side would go to like a top 8 Premier League side.
It's an American kid that plays from a young, energetic American kid. What's his name? I like him. But apart from that,
so Jack Harrison, Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rodrigo.
Tyler Adams.
There's 2 or 3, but not on the par.
None of them are going
Maddison
to like
or Barnes or Everton,
like,
Dwight Neal or what's the forward called? Calvert-Lewin.
Oh God, mate! I would not touch him with a barge pole.
But we've seen it before. It doesn't matter if you're
someone will.
goals in the Premier League. You're gonna.
Sean Dyche said they're looking at the way he
skirts and dresses and does whatever he does in his own time, but that's why he's probably getting injured.
Well, mate, they're looking into his sleep, aren't they, to see if that's the cause of why he keeps getting injured? Like they're looking, it's one of them.
You know what, mate? It's possible. I've talked about this before. It could be his car seat. It could be his bed. It could be his couch. It could be the stuff he's eating. It could be a lot of things because I know people that have experienced this and got to the bottom of it and fixed it.
Didn't they discover your brother's
that's what I'm talking about. No, it was a bed. and driving manual cars, clutch. So it's an array of things, but mostly is bed.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy, these little, like the little things which can make a massive difference.
He didn't eat white rice. He only ate brown rice. Didn't have milk. All kinds of white foods. Took white foods out of his diet. All loads. So it was an array of things that he did. It wasn't just one.
We mentioned West Ham a minute ago. Do you think West Ham will win the Europa?
Yes.
Who do they play?
The Dutch side.
So Europa League final is Seville versus Rome. And I can't find the West Ham one. Oh, I don't know how to find that now. But you fancy them to win, do you?
Yeah.
I think West Ham have got a pretty strong side, haven't they?
Yeah.
Fiorentina. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one, but I still think he's got enough.
They should have enough, but
yeah.
I mean, this is the test, isn't it? For these players, Declan Rice, Ben Rama, Jared Bowen, Paqueta, Antonio, like they got to step up and show that they're top level and not just run of the mill professionals. If they want to show that they're top of the Premier League players, they got to get it done in the big games, as it were. Right then, mate, to finish off, before we do our predictions for the weekend, the last ones of the season, let's go with the Championship playoffs, mate. Luton versus Coventry.
You know who I'm going to go for.
But aren't you just loving the fact that one of those two are going to the Premier League?
Yeah.
I think it's wicked, mate. I'm just so happy with that as a fixture. For me, I just think Luton have got that bit of experience from the last couple of years, which might see them through. But I would argue that Coventry have got the momentum because after the nightmare start they had to the season, they have literally just gone up since then. And I think when you look at that momentum, I think momentum can play a big part. Confidence can play a big, big part. And I mean, but then saying that, the season began with Coventry bottom of the league. They had to postpone 4 or 5 games due to a damaged pitch. Luton had just lost Nathan Jones, walked out for the second time. Rob Edwards took over. And, they've both just gone on this crazy run. And I mean, Luton have been up there all season, but Coventry have just gone up and up and up.
Should be a good game.
Oh, mate, sorry, I just remembered. The end of last week's show, the Sheffield Wednesday scored that goal, didn't they, at the last minute? We got your live reaction to it.
Oh, yeah.
That was just an incredible game, wasn't it? Even the extra time and the penalties, it was just incredible. Yeah. Darren Ferguson looks broken, mate, at the end of the penalties, didn't he?
He's got a new 3-year deal. I'm sure he's happy.
So, Mark Robbins is Coventry or Rob Edwards?
Coventry.
Coventry. What makes you plump for them over Luton?
Because I've stuck with him. I've seen him. I said it a few weeks back. Coventry looks strong. There's always a team at the end that comes out of nowhere and wins and wins and wins and wins. And I just think now that they're on that trajectory, and it'll be a decent game. Luton have done very well, but they beat Middlesbrough over 2 games, which is no mean feat. So, yeah, I'm going.
Both sides got a 20-goal-a-season striker. Luton got Carlton Morris, who scored 20, assisted 7. And then Coventry.
It's a tight ground, Kenilworth Road, the way they play. I don't think they'll be able to do that on Wembley. So... Yeah,
they're quite compact, aren't they, the way Luton play? They kind of sit back and play football on the break. But, there's always a little bit of luck when it comes to these big games. Like it's going to be so tight.
Quality that wins. So hopefully it's one of them and not a referee decision.
Or a mistake or something.
Yeah, I'm sure VAR will be on this game. So
well, you'd think so, mate. What do they call it? They used to call it the £100 million game, didn't they? So I mean, be disgraceful if VAR's not in it. To be honest with you, I just think it's going to be very close. looking at Victor Gyökeres, his stats for Coventry, he's second in the top scorers chart for the league with 21 goals, 11 assists. He also scores basically a goal every other game. Takes about 200 minutes per goal, but his shot accuracy is really high. It's like 60%. So like tends to hit the target more times than not. He's got a lot of goals, created a lot of goals as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'd be very surprised if one side kind of ran away with it. I think it'll be, tight. Maybe even go to extra time.
That should be a good game.
Do you think Sheffield Wednesday will go on and get the League One?
I think Sheffield Wednesday will win, and I think Stockport County will win. So there's your free treble. You're welcome. Coventry win. Sheffield Wednesday win. Stockport win. Boom.
I bet
free treble for your whole weekend.
I bet Gary Neville and co were absolutely devastated when Salford fell apart in the playoff semi-final a bit, didn't they?
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at these predictions. Guys, if you've got any questions, get them in before the end of the show. We're going to be finishing up after our predictions. Let's have a look. I might do you fancy doing a watch-along for the Champions League final, mate? Or would you prefer not to? It's after the FA Cup final. So it's going to be...
Possibly, yeah.
It'll be the week after. So the FA Cup final's a week Sunday, innit? Or a week Saturday. And then it'll be the following Saturday normally.
Yeah.
Or it might even be the following Wednesday. No, it's been Saturday, haven't it, in recent times?
Yep.
Right then, let's have a look at these. The last Super Six, I think, of the season. Premier League, we got Brentford at home to Man City, the champions. Obviously, Man City's already got the Premier League sewn up. Brentford not really playing for anything, I don't think. So, do we think Brentford get anything? They're one of the only teams to beat City this year, man.
Yeah,
United,
so
Brentford.
We're going to go for a double.
Ooh, interesting. Is that Brentford as well?
Yeah, double.
And technically, Brentford can still get that 7th spot. So actually...
Exactly. So they've got a lot to play for. City are thinking about other things now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be their second string, I think, isn't it?
Arsenal, 2-0.
So I've gone 2-2 Brentford City, and I've gone 4-1 to Arsenal against Wolves.
I'll go
United Fulham. I think United should rest everybody and give Butland a debut. Let Maguire, McTominay, who else is leaving? Anyone who's leaving, let them say goodbye. There's not one first team player who I think needs to play for United on Saturday. But I think Ten Hag will play a fairly strong side. He might rest one or two, but I think he'll play generally. He might play Maguire, because if United win, they're guaranteed 3rd. Whereas if they drop points, Newcastle can catch them. And I think Ten Hag, for himself, when it's the pride and stuff like that, will want to finish as high as possible.
Yeah. So
I gone 3-2 anyway to United.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna go 1-0 Chelsea.
What about United?
Oh, United. Same as you. 3-1.
3-1. And then what did you say? 2-0 to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Wow.
1-0 to Chelsea.
Well, mate, judging how bad Chelsea have been, Newcastle have wobbled a little bit in the last 4.
Yeah, last game of the season at the Bridge. I think they might.
Yeah, I could see that.
1-0.
I've gone for a high scoring 4-2 to Newcastle. Leeds at home to Spurs.
2-1 Leeds.
That's what I've got. 2-1 Leeds. That's interesting. Southampton versus Liverpool at Southampton. Southampton already down. I think Liverpool could have a nice easy win there. I've gone 4-2 Liverpool, because I think Southampton will have they'll throw something at it, won't they?
Yeah. 2-2.
And then just for fun, we'll do a score for the playoff final as well. I'm going to go with 2-2 after extra time. Luton Town on penalties.
Oh, Coventry win. Don't know the score. Coventry win.
Coventry all day long, he says. Well, there we go. Right then, mates. I just want to make sure. I think there was something else I wanted to ask you about. I can't remember what it was. Well, we'll save it for next week, and because next week we'll be doing the FA Cup final preview, and we'll be looking at some other bits and pieces. I'm actually doing a video on the FA Cup final next week. Might get you involved in that, mate, if you're up for it. Little tactical analysis, little 20-minute job.
Yeah.
But we'll see how we go. We both go for time. Back to Thursday next week, I think, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any games on, is there?
No.
Thursday. But yeah, you can let me know anyway in the week if there's any potential hiccups. But what you got planned for the weekend? Golf?
No, golf Sunday. Tomorrow, Ethan's got a game, and I've got a game at FC United, charity game. Len Johnson, boxer. So some boxers there, some MMA fighters there, and old FC United players playing between ourselves. So that should be good. Should be a good turnout. And then I've got golf 10:52. Cooking on gas at the minute, so mind you, I had a stinker yesterday, so I was 8 over yesterday. It was a stinker. I was 4 over. Right, get this. I was 4 over after 2 holes. So I double bogeyed the first, double bogeyed the second, then went par, birdie, par, birdie, bogey.
So you started well, started badly, finished badly.
Middle was
in the
great,
middle was superb.
and finish and bad, yeah. So,
jeez.
But it's these new clubs. Once I get them together, I'll be on tour. Me and Tiger. Don't worry about it.
Beautiful. So there we go. Rhodri Giggs in football for 1 week done. The Premier League season is coming to an end. It's going to be an interesting summer. As always, mate, it's a pleasure.
Ciao, Bella.
Take it easy, he says, as he can't find the video clip as usual. What is going on? Just unprofessional.
Absolute amateur.